Okay, so next we'll learn how to input numbers, not only print them. So we will actually learn two concepts at once. Not only input commands, but also what are variables in Python. Well, variables in a lot of languages, in most of the languages, they have to be predetermined. So when we, what are variables in math, for example? When we don't know some numbers, some values, we use letters to name them. So for example, we say that we have some variable x, we have some equation with it, like, I don't know, x plus 3 equals to 5. And then we solve that equation to find that unknown number. Well, in programming, variables are a little bit similar things, but a little bit different as well, you know. So variables are actually some parts of the memory. Do you remember how memory works? It's a lot of light bulbs, some of which can be lit, some of which are dim. So if we take like part of those light bulbs, like 8 of them, for example, or maybe 16, they normally go in batches of 8, but that's a whole different topic. So we take 8 of them, and that batch of the light bulbs we call with the letter X, and then whatever number we want to put in the memory into using those chosen light bulbs, we will do it using assignment command, which looks exactly like just equality sign. So when we do x equals to 5, for example, what Python does is it goes to our memory and takes those allocated light bulbs allocated to that letter X and puts some ones and zeros there, or lit some of those light bulbs, so that it forms number 5 there. So basically it stores that number under that letter. Well, later we can change it. For example, we may want to increase it or decrease it. We can say like, let's x be x plus 1. What will happen then? Obviously, it will take x, its value, which was 5, then it will add 1 to that value, and it will become 6, and then it will assign using this equality sign. It will put it into that same space of memory inside your computer. So it will erase 5 and put 6 instead. That's how assignment and reassignment works. Then I can create another variable and do some other stuff. Like, for example, I can put x times 2 here. So in another part of your memory, of my memory, my computer's memory rather, there is 6 times 2 written down, which is 12. So now in one part there's 6, in another part there's 12, and I can do any stuff with those two numbers as I want. For example, I can multiply them, put one into the power of another, add them, subtract them, whatever. And also I can print them. So you already know that we can print stuff using print command. So if I print x, then I print y, then I print, I don't know, y times x. You can see that I separate them with commas. Then my code will print all that stuff. 6, it was x, 12, it was y, and 6 times 12 is 72. It's y times x. Okay, we can assign variables, we can print variables, but how do we input stuff using our keyboard? For example, I want, I don't know, like in one of those problems I sent you before. We use input command. Input like that. What's input? Input is everything that we write down in the console. So if I run my program now, after printing all that stuff, everything that I printed here, then this print, so it printed, then, well, you can see that it proposes, it didn't stop yet. It proposes me to input something with this, I don't know, hollow rectangle, with this rectangle. So when I click here, I can input anything, like, I don't know, number, letters, whatever. And the moment I hit enter on my keyboard, it takes that line that I inputted here. Well, it just takes it. That's it. It doesn't do anything with it until I say to do something with it. Well, what can I say? I can, for example, I could, for example, take that line and put it into one of the variables, right? So I can create another variable. Let's name it A. Well, we'll talk about namings of the variables later. I can put that input into that variable. That then I can input some other variable. Then I can do something with them, like, I don't know, print A, B, and A plus B, for example. Let's do that. Let's check what will it do. When I run, obviously it prints all the stuff that's on the beginning. And then it waits for me to input something. Let me input number 5. When I hit enter, it still waits for me to input something because we have another line with the word input in it. Let me input number 6. And how do you think, what will it print after I hit enter right now? So you may think that it will print 5, 6, and then 5 plus 6. What is it? It's 11. But let's see. Nope. It printed 5, 6, and then 56 instead of 11. Why did it do so? So it's like it didn't add them together. It just like glued it to each other. First 5, then 6, and it became 56. The whole thing is that everything that we input using input command is considered a string, which is basically a text. So it's like we input those 5 and 6 in quotes, like here, like we used quotes to indicate that we want to print text instead of numbers. The same happens here. So when we use input commands, Python doesn't know in advance if we want to print to input numbers or text. So it considers everything that we input as text. But what if we wanted numbers instead? In this case, we need to convert text into number. We need to kind of let Python know that we wanted numbers, not text. To do so, we have several commands that convert one type of information into another. Which types we have in Python? It's 3 of them. We use the most. Well, it's more, but we use 3 of them. Integer, which is integer numbers, obviously. It's shortened to int. Float is real numbers. It's basically every number possible, even the fractional ones, for example, like 2.5 or 3/4 or whatever. And the last one is text. It's called string and is shortened to str. So these three types are mostly used in Python. By the way, do you see me writing empty brackets after almost every word that I use here? It's the thing called functions. So if I don't use brackets, this word is just a word. I don't know. It may be variable, for example, int equals 2. But if I put quotes after it, it makes that word a function. Well, if that function exists, obviously. So input is a function, print is a function, everything like that is a function, or almost everything that you will use would be either variable or a function. And functions, like in math, they always have to have brackets in the end, even if they do not have arguments like print commands. Print function, we can leave those brackets empty, but we still need to use them. Otherwise, it will think that it's a variable, not a function. So what do these three commands do? These three functions, they convert whatever we write inside those brackets into that type that we have written here. So for example, if if inside that int command I put some number in quotes, it will convert it into number without quotes. So we could use it afterwards to add, to multiply, to do any arithmetic stuff with it. So we can use it not as text, but as a number, as a normal number. The same with the float. So for example, we can convert strings with points in them. So 123.56 would be converted into that exact fractional number. str does the opposite. If we put any number here, it will convert it into text. Well, it has much more functionality than that. It can do more stuff, more complicated stuff, but this is all we would need for the for GCSEs. So every time you have a string, a text that is needed to be converted into being a number, right? Like this one, we have to use int command. So what do we do here with these a and b variables? Let me, by the way, duplicate it. Not erase, but duplicate. So when I input a string, a line of text, which consists only of the digits, and I want it to be a number, I put int function, and I place that input inside the brackets of the int function, right? So what will it do then? It will input the line, number 5, for example. It will be 5 in quotes first, but then it will convert it into a normal 5 using int. The same with the second line. I just use function int. I put input inside that function, and then I can use these variables a and b as normal numbers, as integer numbers. As you can see, I reused the same names from here, so I can use the same names after I don't need them anymore for their previous purpose, right? So that space in the memory in which I stored this text, I inputted here. It's free now for me to use for the next information. So reusage of memory is also very important in programming, especially when you code something very, very large. Okay, let's not think about that. You can also use all the different variable names for the variables. It's not a problem. So let's run. When I input 5 and then, I don't know, 23, for example, I can even put a letter here. It won't be a problem because I know that this piece of code, it will just add two texts together. Texts are just written one after another. So when I hit enter, it will do that thing. So it attaches the second line to the first line. That's it. But when I use this, when I think about this one, I cannot put any text inside already because it will try to convert it into an integer. It will meet some letter and it will think, come on, we don't have letters in numbers. It's not hexadecimal, it's only denary. So in denary, we don't have letters, right? So try not to, oh my God, what's that? Try not to use any typos, to make any typos. Okay, so 5 and then 6. What does it do? Perfect. It just added them together as we wanted. So in the case, in any case, you can input text lines with just input command. And then, for example, merge them into one larger line using plus. But normally, and normally we would work with numbers instead. So in these cases, use int and then input inside the brackets of int. Yeah, and it may be confusing at first that you have so many empty brackets here, but you'll get used to it pretty quick. So I hope it was helpful. Now try to repeat all that yourself. So try to write down all that code with inputs and printing stuff. And after that, please solve the first problem I sent you. Okay, bye.